I want to do this, but I'm just gonna try not win.
1 minute to air.
Okay. And Steve, is it pronounced Galitzer?
Galitzer.
Galitzer. Okay.
Okay.
We will say Galitzer. We are ready. Hello, Manhattan. Welcome to this week's edition of Channel 8 News. I'm Greg Jansen.
And I'm Courtney Liebel. We've got an exciting show for you coming right up.
Coming up on Channel 8 News, how politics in Washington are affecting struggling workers at Fort Riley.
Also, the Washington politics put a sour note to the Apple Festival, and some strange visitors drag themselves through Aggieville. This and more coming up.
This is Channel 8 News, KKSU LP. For Manhattan and Riley County. From Kansas State University, this is Channel 8 News.
Temperatures are starting to slowly drop here in the Manhattan area. Let's take a peek outside with reporter Claire Carlson to see what it's like.
71 degrees out, the sun is shining, the skies are blue. It's so beautiful outside today. So that's all we got. Greg and Courtney, back to you guys.
Thanks, Claire. With the current government shutdown, many people aren't sure what to expect or what that means for locals.
Channel 8 reporter Emily Kempfe talked with Major O'Donnell out of Fort Riley about the furlough and government shutdown.
Major O'Donnell came to K-State on Friday to speak to a public relations class and give them an inside look on the situation. But his information gave us an even bigger picture.
At 12:01 on October 1st, the government was forced into a partial shutdown based on political disagreement. The shutdown led to an emergency furlough, releasing civilians from work for an indefinite amount of time. Major O'Donnell defined what a furlough is to the public relations class.
We've had to, at Fort Riley, place about 1,000 civilian employees on emergency furlough, which means that they're not working and they're not getting paid.
These temporary cuts affect the families involved as well as the whole Fort Riley community. Major O'Donnell also explained what the furlough means to Fort Riley as a military base.
The longer this shutdown occurs, our readiness will degrade.
Readiness isn't the only concern for soldiers at Fort Riley.
The Pay Our Military Act, which was approved by Congress and then ultimately signed by the parent, that assures my paycheck, but it does not, regrettably, assure the paychecks of inactive Guard or Reserve, retirees, veterans. All those individuals' paychecks right now are very much up in question. Once a week,
O'Donnell describes his feelings towards the effects of the furlough.
Furloughed 1 day a week. And obviously there's some guilt. I mean, personally speaking, there's some guilt on my part. Okay, why am I exempt? Here are my brothers and sisters in arms. Here are soldiers that I may or may not have served with as veterans over there that are not now getting the same benefits that I am. What makes me so better than that?
I'm sure Major O'Donnell isn't the only one to feel like this, and unfortunately, as of now, there is no expected date for the shutdown to end. However, there has been some relief with the signing of a bill on Saturday to back pay nearly 800,000 federal employees and even let some go back to work. Back to you guys.
That's great to hear, Emily. In other news, the Federal Aviation Administration is turning to Kansas State University Salina to test certification standards for small unmanned aircraft systems, or UAS. The university will work closely with the National Institute for Aviation Research at Wichita State University throughout the project. It's said to be of national importance, and Kansas State is thrilled to be leading the way in verifying today's unmanned systems for tomorrow's commercial applications.
Well, those unmanned aircraft drones seem to be pretty cool. I hope some more cool developments come out of Salina. Well, questions were looming at Fort Riley of whether or not Apple Fest would be continuing its festivities this year.
The annual celebration is a tradition to many Manhattan locals. With the government shutdown currently in effect, many were suspect that the festival would not be able to take place on the grounds of Fort Riley. We sent Channel 8 reporter Alex Ayton to the fort to check if their doors were open.
Getting close to Fort Riley, it didn't appear that it would be an Apple Fest this year, but we were surprised to find a packed crowd. That was a great turnout.
Rides. Games. Food. It's been over 100 years. This is the Apple Festival at Fort Riley. People came from all around, and Fort Riley showed off its muscle and might.
For me, it's a static displays. It's showing the military vehicles off and just getting my girlfriend familiarized with everything.
But the main attraction of Apple Fest was small and round. The festival contained many tasty apple dishes. Those apple dishes supposedly came from an American legend's wife and are still on post today.
Its roots go back actually to Custer's wife Elizabeth, who had a recipe for apple pie, and it is said they still have that locked away somewhere, and that's the one they're using.
Whether it was an adult enjoying the sights and sounds or kids enjoying the rides and games, it guaranteed a good time for everyone.
I really like bouncy houses, and I barely ever see them at all, and just except for here, because I've seen 4 bouncy houses here. 4.
Little kids and their families had a great time. The tradition of the Apple Festival at Fort Riley continues, and through our Channel 8 investigation, we are pretty sure that the secret apple pie recipe is safe for another year.
Well, thanks, Alex. When you find that recipe, be sure to let me know. We're going to take a short break, but coming up right after that, we'll look at what Manhattan's Islamic Center is doing to keep the community involved.
We'll also be speaking with Steve Galitzer about need-to-know information about the spreading of hoof and mouth disease. More after this.
Around here, school pride isn't just some slogan on a t-shirt. It's the spirit that comes from understanding we are stronger when we're together. That's the essence of K-State Proud, a nationally recognized student-led fundraising campaign. In just 6 years, K-State Proud has helped raise more than $500,000 to help students who need it most and appreciate it best. Think of it as Philanthropy 101. K-State Proud. It's just one more way the Kansas State family treats one another, well, like family. Where there's a Wildcat, there's a way. Class, study. Class, eat. Play, play, play. Study. Class, chill. Class, eat, study, play, study. Sometimes it seems there just aren't enough hours in the day at our 3 campuses, so you have to make every minute count, especially those precious first few. That's why Kansas State alum Herbert Diamond invented the snooze alarm, a dorm room fixture. Because even when you can't wait to get started, sometimes it's nice to wait to get started. Where there's a Wildcat, there's a way.
Welcome back to Channel 8. I'm Greg Jansen.
And I'm Courtney Liebel. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Channel 8 KSU and on Facebook, Channel 8 News KSU.
Things are still in full gear at the corner of Bluemont and Manhattan Avenue, directly across from Aggieville and the K-State University campus.
That's where the Bluemont Hotel will open its doors this upcoming summer in 2014.
Bluemont Hotel will be the latest of a group of hotels to open up in the Manhattan area. It is expected to have 110 rooms and over 100 parking spots. Tune in next week to Channel 8 News when we take an inside look at the hotel's unique design.
You might have noticed a few strange events happening on and around campus yesterday and throughout the day today. The Biosecurity Institute is conducting a statewide emergency exercise in stopping potential outbreaks of foreign animal diseases. The drill will act as if there has been a confirmation of the highly contagious foot and mouth disease. More than 200 individuals will take part in practicing the functional exercise. The goal is to identify gaps and weaknesses in response to an actual outbreak. Steve Gallitzer joins us in studio today to talk about preparation against animal disease.
All right, well, Steve, thank you for joining us. So this drill is going on right now?
Yes, it was initiated this morning. It'll be going on for today and tomorrow, actually. It's pretty exciting to be involved in it also.
Okay, so tell me more about the drill and what problem we're trying to confront by having this drill.
Well, it has been dubbed RIP Stop 2013, and it is a statewide exercise involving a case of foot and mouth disease, and it's interesting. It's one of foot and mouth disease is one of the what we call foreign animal diseases. It's not present in the U.S. We want to make sure we keep it out of the U.S. But if it were to start up, we have to make sure that we can prevent animals from moving into the state or across the state with the disease and possibly bringing the disease to Kansas. Every state has the kind of a process that does what it can to slow down a disease. And we have what's called a stop movement, so that if there's a disease that starts in another state, we can keep those animals or possibly diseased animals from entering or going through the state. And that's what we're in the middle of right now.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. And so now, is this something that Manhattanites especially should be worried about? Should they be taking action in preparation for something, or is that all in good hands for now?
In a very simple answer, no. It's an animal disease. It doesn't affect humans. If it were to occur, what we would be doing is trying to prevent people from taking the disease to their farm. And that's really what the Stop movement is all about.
Well, great. Well, thank you, Steve, for joining us. And Courtney, back to you.
Thanks, Greg. Hopefully the disease spreads as little as possible. Open houses occur all over the Manhattan area, but some are a little more insightful than most. Channel 8 reporter Caitlin Spaney has the story.
Thanks, Courtney. I didn't know much about the Islamic religion, so I went into the day not knowing what to expect.
The main reason we have the center here is to take care of the student affairs, family affairs. Some of our younger generation is coming up.
And this open house gives us opportunity to tell that what we are, what we do, and that's why you know. That's the thing.
So K, we call it Kaf, and the A, we call it Alif, and the I, we can write it or not. Like you said, Caitlin. We can say in Arabic, Caitlin. It's hard to say Caitlin in Arabic. So we can discard this one. The T, we call it Ta. L, we call it Lam. The Y, Yeah. Y, Yeah. It's a sound, right? N, we call it Noon. So this is Kathleen in Arabic.
The open house is a great cultural experience and a wonderful opportunity to have. Back to you, Courtney and Greg.
It's time for another break, but stay tuned to meet our special guests from the Humane Society.
Class, study. Class, eat. Play, play, play. Study. Class, chill. Class, eat. Study, play, study. Sometimes it seems there just aren't enough hours in the day at our 3 campuses, so you have to make every minute count, especially those precious first few. That's why Kansas State alum Herbert Diamond invented the snooze alarm, a dorm room fixture. Because even when you can't wait to get started, sometimes it's nice to wait to get started. Where there's a wildcat, there's a way. Nearly 150 years ago, the first native limestone was carved into the campus of Kansas State University. Since that time, K-State has known what it takes to rise to the challenge. Now, we're challenging ourselves to become a top 50 public research university by the year 2025. To reach that status, our research dollars, endowment, career award winners, and patents are growing to match our internationally recognized programs and research. K-State 2025 is more than a challenge. It's a commitment we'll keep. Because where there's a wildcat, there's a way.
Welcome back. We're joined today with Jessica of the Humane Society. Who do you have with you today?
We have Shiloh. She's a 9-year-old female spayed Labrador, yellow Labrador. You wouldn't know it for her energy. She's kind of 9 years young. She's a pretty enthusiastic girl.
So is she up for adoption?
She is, actually. She's currently up for adoption. She's in our program, and if you visit the Humane Society's website, we feature all of our animals through Pet Finder. So she's on our website. You just click on a link, and you can find her on Pet Finder with more info.
Perfect. How is she at the Humane Society? Is she usually pretty tame, or?
Well, we have actually a network of foster homes for all of our animals. We don't have a physical facility where we keep everyone, and she is wonderful at her foster home. Her foster mom would take her if she could adopt her. She's great with other dogs and cats, and knows a handful of tricks, and is excellent off leash. She's just a all-around great girl.
Perfect. How many other dogs do you have up for adoption?
We probably have about 25 to 30 dogs. We have more cats in the program, about 100, a little under that. And we have a handful of exotic animals too, like rabbits, and sometimes we'll have ferrets and chinchillas and guinea pigs and hamsters and those sorts of things.
So with it getting colder out, what steps can people take to make their dogs comfortable?
Well, we always recommend that your pets are indoor most of the time, especially when the weather gets severe. But making sure they have adequate shelter and access to water outside, especially when the temperatures drop below freezing. Making sure that if you do keep a water bucket outside, that it's not frozen over, so that they have access to fresh, clean water, a nice warm area to seek shelter. But again, by and large, we like to see our pets inside snuggled up under a comforter in the cold winter months.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming. Thanks for bringing your friend here.
Our pleasure, thank you.
Greg, back to you.
Kids and families can get a chance to see animals up close more at the Sunset Zoo Spooktacular event. Kids are encouraged to trick or treat in their best costumes throughout the zoo on October 19th and 20th. Other locals certainly found their best costume for the zombie walk through Aggieville. And Aggieville can certainly provide food and drink, but do they have brains for their customers? Channel 8 reporter Matt Spooner went out to check it out himself.
Thanks, Greg. I found Aggieville filled with stumbling zombies who, along with the weather, made the atmosphere seem like it was right out of a horror film.
Zombies gathered at City Park on Saturday. It's not a place you would expect to see them. It takes a lot to be a zombie. Some went all out with makeup and characters, including dead brides and zombies from The Wizard of Oz. As the K-State game blared from the bars in Aggieville, the zombies invaded. Instead of looking to spread their infection amongst the living, this time the zombies were trying to help the humanity of Manhattan. Alfredo Carbajal, the leader of the Kansas Anti-Zombie Militia.
I think teaming up with the undead to actually help the living and those in need, I think it's a good thing.
They weren't trying to eat brains, they were trying to fill stomachs, with a 2-can requirement for participation.
Save yourself brains, not brains. No.
Seth Heflin was a participant in the Zombie Walk for Hunger.
I have a really sick and twisted imagination. This kind of my thing. You know, I play all kinds of zombie games, read zombie novels, and it's a good cause.
Not every day do you see zombies dragging through Aggieville.
Well, Greg, this event contributed over 300 pounds of food and donations to the Flint Hills Bread Basket.
That's really great to hear. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with weather and sports.
K-State Student Radio brings every game to K-State fans on the Wildcat 91.9.
Klein's going to take a pitch out to the right. Hubert dices his way up and into the end zone for the Wildcat touchdown. Takes the snap. He's going to roll out. He's going to throw deep over the middle of the field for Tyler Lockett. Catches it. 15-10, 5, touchdown, Kansas State.
For all of your K-State sports coverage, tune into the Wildcat 91.9.
And we're back with our weather reporter, Claire Carlson. What's it looking like outside today, Claire?
Guys, it is beautiful outside today. Our high is about 75, but currently it's about 65. Let's go ahead and take a look outside. As you can see, the sun is shining. There are clouds, no clouds in the sky. It's a beautiful day, but fall is definitely upon us. Today, the sun rose at about 7:30 a.m. and it's going to be setting about 7. But as the week continues on, the sun's going to be rising later and setting sooner. So fall is definitely upon us. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at what the weather looks like across the states. Out in California, it's very sunny, as well as in Kansas, as well as in the United States. Seattle's got some rain, and so does up in New York, but the rest of the United States is looking pretty sunny. One thing to keep your eye on will definitely be the storm coming in North Carolina, Virginia area that's just coming through about this morning. But in terms of Kansas, things are looking great. It is pretty sunny consistently across the states. Really great temperatures, highs of about 80s down into the 50s, pretty consistent across the state. And as well as we look at Manhattan in our 5-day forecast, we are looking great. We got about 80 degrees as our high for today. And as we continue on, there's going to be thunderstorms on Friday and chances of thunderstorms on Saturday, but let's hope that those do not happen during our football game. So with that, we're looking pretty great. We'll send it back to Greg and Courtney.
Thanks, Claire. Hopefully we don't get too wet this weekend. Now we'll kick it over to sports with reporter Chelsea Stover.
K-State football traveled to Stillwater, Oklahoma Saturday to play the number 21 Oklahoma State Cowboys. The Wildcats scored first but had multiple penalties, which led to Oklahoma State leading 17-14 at the half. 12 penalties for 92 yards and 5 turnovers ultimately led to the defeat of the K-State Wildcats with a score of 33-29. K-State has 2 wins and 3 losses on the season. I have with me today John Zetmeyer from the Collegian. How are you today?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. So I was just had a question about so the K-State. So besides the penalties and turnovers, what cost the Wildcats a victory against the Cowboys on Saturday?
I would just say the rhythm. It's looked really hard for this team to get into a rhythm this year with the quarterback battle, things switching in and out. The offensive line doesn't look like they're as poised as they were last year, going back to the penalties, obviously. And so, yeah, I think that once they find their rhythm and get that down, they'll be more fluent on offense and be able to score more points.
Great. So the Wildcats have a game against Baylor on Saturday. Baylor's undefeated and leads the country in scoring this season at 70.5 points a game. Given the way K-State's been playing this season, how do you think they're going to hold up against Baylor?
Well, Baylor does sound like a tough test. Obviously, Baylor's the one who knocked K-State out of the national championship hopes last year, and they haven't lost since. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough test. Obviously, with the young defense, it's going to be tough for the Wildcats to stop an offense like that. But it really comes back down to offensive rhythm. If they can keep the ball, out of Baylor's hands, force some long drives, kind of like they did in the second half of the Oklahoma State game, then they should be fine. Back home, I mean, they haven't played in front of their home crowd in 4 weeks, so there's probably going to be some fire there. So they should be fine.
Great. Well, that's all we have for today. Back to Greg and Courtney.
All right. Well, thank you, Chelsea. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll take a look outside at the weather.
A Wildcat legacy from generation to generation.
Where my grandfather went to school.
Where my mother went to school.
It's a legacy scholarship program started by the K-State Alumni Association, specifically for the children and grandchildren of K-State alumni. When you buy a K-State license plate, you fund legacy scholarships.
Show your purple pride and be a part of the Wildcat legacy.
Look at me. I'm so cute and cuddly. I'm also very charming. I'll tell you what you want to hear and sweep you off your feet. I'm also spontaneous, maybe a little erratic at times. I take risks most people wouldn't, but that makes me fun. I'm also very persuasive. I can convince you to do something you'd never dream of doing. And you'll love my stories. I usually stretch the truth a little bit, but you'll believe me because I'm such a good liar. I'm never wrong, and I never feel guilty. I always win, but just look how cute and innocent I look. I can fool you, your parents. I can even fool your friends. Trust me.
In other sports, K-State volleyball stayed close to KU on Wednesday, but ended up falling to the Jayhawks in all 3 sets. On Saturday, the Volley Cats played TCU in 5 sets. Senior Caitlin Pelger had a season-high 23 kills, which helped the Cats get their first Big 12 win of the season. The volleyball team will travel to Iowa State on Wednesday to take on the Cyclones. The rowing team had their first event in Oklahoma City, taking 10 boats to compete. 2 boats finished 7th and 9th, respectively, in the Women's Collegiate 8, while 2 boats in the Women's Collegiate Novice 4+ finished 4th and 11th. The team will finish the fall season with an event at KU on the 20th. For sports today, back to you and Greg and Courtney.
Thanks, Chelsea. Now, did you attend Opus this weekend?
I did not. How was it?
Oh, I actually didn't attend either.
Oh.
But a bunch of bands got together, and it sounded like it was a lot of fun. And yours truly actually competed last year in the competition.
How'd you do in the competition last year?
Well, I don't want to toot my own horn, but we did take first place.
Did you compete this year?
That's something of a sore subject. In other news, no, our band actually broke up. Weren't able to play this year, but I'm sure it was a lot of fun. There were a big variety of bands, and I know some that were really excited about playing.
Do you think you'll get in a new band next year?
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. So, well, that's it for this week on Channel 8 News. I'm Greg Jansen.
And I'm Courtney Liebel.
Class, study. Class, eat. Play, play, play. Study. Class, chill. Class, eat, study, play, study. Sometimes it seems there just aren't enough hours in the day at our 3 campuses, so you have to make every minute count, especially those precious first few. That's why Kansas State alum Herbert Diamond invented the snooze alarm, a dorm room fixture. Because even when you can't wait to get started, sometimes it's nice to wait to get started. Where there's a Wildcat, there's a way.
All right, that will do it for this week. For more exciting news, tune in next week or follow us on Twitter at Channel 8 KSU and on Facebook, Channel 8 News KSU.
And from Courtney, Claire, Chelsea, and myself, thanks for watching.
cutting things randomly.
I was gonna ask
know,
you
sorry,
that. I was
that's-
gonna be like,
Like, for
what'd
the end
you
of my
play? Or did
package,
you
I was
say?
like, so they still want me to talk? Like, if I don't talk, we want the.
Well, they said wrap it up,
When
and
the zombie walk was
since that was the end of the
Because in
show,
the
I thought they
package, I
meant
never
wrap up the
mentioned
show. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.